Dr. Hansol stared at his microscope screen in confusion. The blood sample he was testing didn't make sense. He had done this routine health check hundreds of times before on the International Space Station Beta, but something was different today. The red blood cells were moving in ways they shouldn't. He rubbed his tired eyes and looked again. The cells were definitely glowing, just a faint blue light, but it was there. Hansol checked the sample label again. It was his own blood, drawn just an hour ago for the monthly crew health screening. Medical Officer Jae-yun, could you come take a look at this? He called out to his colleague, who was organizing supplies across the lab module. Jae-yun pushed off the wall and floated gracefully toward his workstation. What did you find? I'm not sure, Hansol said, moving aside so she could see the screen. Either I'm going crazy from too much space-time, or my blood cells are giving off light. Jae-yun's eyes widened as she watched the screen. That's not normal. She quickly pulled up the previous month's blood test results on her tablet. Look, nothing like this showed up before. What changed? Before Hansol could answer, the station's alert system began blaring. Red warning lights flashed through the medical bay as Captain Yoon's voice came over the speakers. All crew to emergency stations. Unknown vessel approaching. This is not a drill. Repeat. All crew to emergency stations. Hansol and Jae-yun quickly secured their equipment and samples, then pushed off toward the bridge. They joined the rest of the 12-person crew, watching the main view screen with a mixture of fear and amazement. The approaching ship was like nothing they had ever seen. It seemed to ripple and shift, its surface moving like liquid metal. It was massive, at least 10 times the size of their station. Any response to our hails? Captain Yoon asked the communications officer. Nothing yet, sir. Wait. Officer Min adjusted his headset. We're receiving a transmission. The view screen flickered, and everyone gasped. The face that appeared was clearly not human. The being had silvery blue skin and large, dark eyes that seemed to catch and reflect light like a cat's. When it spoke, its words were translated by the computer in a neutral voice. Greetings, humans of Earth. I am Captain Do-hyun of the research vessel Starlight. We come in peace, seeking medical collaboration. Captain Yoon stepped forward. I am Captain Yoon of the International Space Station Beta. What kind of medical collaboration are you seeking? The alien captain's expression changed in a way they couldn't quite read. Our long-range scanners detected something unusual in your medical bay. Something we've been searching for across 12 galaxies. We request permission to send a small team to discuss this with your medical staff. Hansol and Jae-yun exchanged worried looks. They both knew what the unusual reading must have been. After a series of careful security checks and discussions with Earth's newly formed First Contact Committee, a small team of alien researchers was allowed to dock with the station. Their environmental suits were similar to human spacesuits, but seemed to flow and move with their bodies like living things. As soon as they entered the medical bay, their instruments began beeping and flashing. The lead researcher, who introduced herself as Dr. May, moved directly to Hansol's workstation, where his blood sample was still secured. Remarkable, she breathed, her translator making the words sound full of wonder. After all this time, we finally found it. Found what? Hansol asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Dr. May turned to face him, her cat-like eyes seeming to glow with excitement. The key to saving countless species across the universe. Your blood. Human blood. It contains something we thought was only a myth. Something that could change everything. Captain Do-hyun stepped forward. We should explain. But first, you must understand that once this knowledge becomes known, your world will never be the same. The substance flowing through your veins is more valuable than all the precious metals and rare elements in the known universe combined. As if to emphasize his point, alarms began blaring again. Officer Min's voice came over the speakers, tense and worried. Captain, we're detecting multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. They're heading straight for us. The secret of human blood was out, and the galaxy was already racing to claim it. The next 24 hours on Space Station Beta were chaos. 5 more alien ships had arrived, each demanding to speak with the station's crew. Captain Yoon had called for emergency support from Earth, and 3 military space vessels now surrounded the station in a protective formation. In the medical bay, Dr. Hansol and Jai-Yun worked frantically to understand what made human blood so special. Dr. May, the alien researcher, helped them as more ships gathered outside. "Look at this," Dr. May said, pointing to a complex diagram on her portable screen. "Human blood contains tiny structures we've never seen before. They're like tiny power plants." Jai-Yun leaned closer. "Those are just normal mitochondria. Every human cell has them." Dr. May shook her head. "No, not those. These." She zoomed in further, revealing strange, glowing dots inside the blood cells that none of the human doctors had ever noticed before. Just then, Ambassador Taiwan arrived at the station. He had been sent by the United Earth Council to handle the growing crisis. Tall and composed, he walked into the medical bay with Captain Yoon. "Dr. Hansol," the ambassador said, "we need to understand exactly what we're dealing with. The alien ships outside are making Earth's leaders very nervous." Before Hansol could answer, all the lights in the station flickered. Captain Do-hyun's face appeared on the emergency screens. "My apologies for the interruption," he said, "but time is running out. More ships are coming. You need to know the truth now." He paused, looking troubled. "Show them, Dr. May." Dr. May pulled out a small device and placed a drop of Hansol's blood sample inside it. The device hummed softly, then projected a hologram showing a busy alien city. As they watched, the city's lights grew brighter, powered by the tiny drop of blood. "One drop of human blood can power a city this size for a day," Dr. May explained. "Nothing else we found can do this. But that's not all." She changed the hologram to show a sick alien child. She added another drop of blood to her device, and they watched as the child's illness vanished. "Your blood can cure diseases that have plagued the galaxy for centuries," Captain Do-hyun said. "It can heal any species. We don't know why, but something in Earth's history made human blood unique." Ambassador Taiwan's normally calm face showed shock. "Why are you telling us this now?" "Because," Captain Do-hyun replied, "the ships arriving aren't all friendly. Some will try to take what they want by force. You need to be ready." As if proving his point, new alarms started blaring. Officer Min's voice came over the speakers. "Multiple ships dropping out of light speed. These ones are armed." Ambassador Taiwan moved quickly to the communications panel. "This is Ambassador Taiwan of Earth. I am declaring human blood a protected resource under Emergency Protocol 7 of the Galactic Charter." Captain Do-hyun looked surprised. "You know about the Galactic Charter?" "We've been preparing for first contact longer than you think," Taiwan replied with a slight smile. "And that law means any attempt to forcefully take human blood is an act of war against all peaceful species in the galaxy." The armed ships slowed their approach, but didn't retreat. On the main screen, they could see more vessels arriving every minute. "It won't stop them all," Dr. May said quietly. "The desperate ones will still try." Hansol looked at his blood sample, still glowing faintly blue under the microscope. "Then we need to find another way. Jai-Yun, help me set up the gene sequencer. If we can understand why our blood does this, maybe we can find a way to make more without putting humans in danger." As the medical team began their work, Ambassador Taiwan started organizing Earth's defense. Outside the station, ships from all across the galaxy continued to gather, some coming to help, others to take what they wanted. The secret was out. Human blood could power civilizations and heal the sick. Now, humanity had to figure out how to handle being the most valuable species in the known universe before someone decided to take that value by force. 3 months after the discovery of human blood's special properties, the city of New Seoul was different. Security checkpoints stood on every corner. Armed guards watched the hospitals. Nobody walked alone at night anymore. In an underground lab beneath the city, Kyung-ho counted his money. The crime boss smiled as he looked at the rows of stolen blood bags in his special freezer. Each bag was worth more than gold now. He had gotten rich selling them to desperate aliens. "Boss," one of his men called from the door, "we found another willing donor." Kyung-ho frowned. Willing usually meant poor and desperate. He didn't like taking advantage of people, but business was business. "How much blood are they offering?" Before his man could answer, the wall exploded. Security officer Yoon-suk and his special police team rushed in through the smoke. "Hands where I can see them. Blood protection unit." Kyung-ho tried to run, but Officer Yoon-suk was faster. He tackled the crime boss to the ground as his team secured the stolen blood. "You're making a mistake," Kyung-ho said as they put him in handcuffs. "People need this blood. The hospitals don't give enough to the aliens who need it." "That's not your decision to make," Yoon-suk replied. He touched his radio. "Central Command, we got him. Send in the medical team to properly store the blood." Meanwhile, at the International Medical Center, Dr. Han-sol and Jae-yun were working late again. They had been trying for months to make artificial human blood, but nothing worked right. "Look at this," Jae-yun said, pointing to her screen. "The fake blood cells have the right shape, but they're not glowing. We're missing something important." Han-sol rubbed his tired eyes. "Maybe we need to think differently. Instead of copying the blood, maybe we should." An alarm on their security panel started flashing. Someone was trying to break into the lab's blood storage. Through the security cameras, they watched as 3 figures in black moved through the halls. They weren't human. Their movements were too smooth, too quick. "Alert security," Han-sol said, but Jae-yun was already calling it in. The aliens reached the storage room door. They pulled out strange tools to break the lock. But before they could finish, the lights came on. Officer Yoon-suk and his team had them surrounded. "Step away from the door," Yoon-suk ordered. "You're under arrest for attempted blood theft." The aliens didn't fight. They knew the laws. But as they were led away, one of them spoke. "Our children are dying. We just want to save them." Later that night, Han-sol couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about what the alien had said. He called Jae-yun. "I have an idea," he said when she answered. "We've been trying to copy human blood, but what if we make something different? Something that has the same healing power but isn't blood at all." "Like a new medicine?" Jae-yun asked, sounding interested. "Yes, meet me at the lab. I want to try something." But as they worked through the night, they didn't know they were being watched. In space, hidden behind Earth's moon, a huge ship was getting ready. Inside, thousands of tubes waited to be filled with human blood. The ship's commander looked at Earth through his viewing screen. "Begin the operation," he ordered. "Target the small cities first. Less security there." Back in New Seoul, Officer Yoon-suk was checking the night's arrest reports when his emergency line rang. "Sir," a panicked voice said, "we've got reports of mass disappearances from 3 small towns. Hundreds of people just gone." Yoon-suk quickly called Han-sol and Jae-yun. "Doctors, we have a big problem. Someone's taking whole towns of people. We need a solution fast." As he spoke, more reports came in. The underground market for blood wasn't the real problem anymore. Something much worse had started. The race to protect humanity had entered a new phase, and time was running out. Commander Sun Mei stood at the window of Moonbase Alpha, watching Earth shine below. The reports from the missing towns made her blood run cold. 3,000 people gone in one night. No signs of struggle. No demands for ransom. "Status report," she called out to her team. 5 more ships detected behind Mars. Officer Kang answered from his station. "They're trying to hide, but our new sensors can see them." Sun Li nodded. After the first disappearances, Earth's governments had finally united. The Earth Defense Force was born, and she was chosen to lead it. Now she had to prove they made the right choice. "Commander," another officer shouted, "we're getting a signal from Admiral Hyunwoo's fleet. They found something." The main screen lit up with Admiral Hyunwoo's face. He looked tired but determined. "Commander Sunmai, we found their base. It's inside the asteroid belt. They're keeping the humans in sleep pods, harvesting their blood slowly to keep them alive." Sunma's hands tightened into fists. "How many ships do they have?" "At least 30. But we have something they don't know about." The Admiral smiled. "Dr. Hansol's new invention is ready." At the International Medical Center on Earth, Hansol and Jae-yun were putting the finishing touches on their latest project. It looked like a simple wristband, but it was humanity's newest defense. "The blood scanner is working perfectly," Jae-yun said, checking the final tests. "It can detect attempts to draw blood from a person without permission. It also sends an alert to the Defense Force." Hansol picked up one of the wristbands. "How many do we have ready?" "Production centers around the world have made 50 million so far. Not enough for everyone yet, but we're making more every day." Their work was interrupted by a loud boom that shook the building. Through the windows, they saw ships appearing in the sky. Not the smooth, beautiful ships of their alien allies, but dark, threatening vessels. "They're here," Hansol whispered. But Earth was ready this time. From hidden bases around the planet, defense ships rose to meet the threat. These new ships were special. They were powered by freely donated human blood, making them faster and stronger than anything else in space. Commander Sunmi's voice came over the global broadcast system. "Attention citizens of Earth. This is not a drill. All civilians proceed to your designated safe zones. Defense Force ships are moving to protect you. Do not panic. We are ready for this." In space, Admiral Hyunwoo's fleet moved to surround the enemy ships. "This is your only warning," he transmitted to them. "Release your human captives and leave our solar system, or face the consequences." The enemy commander's response was simple. "The blood is too valuable. We will take what we need." "Wrong answer," Admiral Hyunwoo said quietly. He gave the signal to his fleet. The battle that followed was like nothing Earth had seen before. The enemy ships were strong, but Earth's blood-powered vessels were stronger. They moved impossibly fast, their shields glowing with the same blue light that had first appeared in Hansol's blood sample. On the ground, more enemy ships tried to land and take more humans. But as their doors opened, they found empty streets. The humans were safe in underground bunkers, protected by energy shields powered by their own freely given blood. In her command center, Sunmai watched the battle screens. "Send in the second wave," she ordered. "Concentrate on the ships trying to land. No more humans will be taken today." As the battle raged on, Dr. Hansol and Jae-yun worked frantically in their lab. They knew that fighting wasn't the answer. They needed to find a way to make artificial blood that would work just as well as human blood. If they succeeded, the aliens wouldn't need to attack Earth anymore. "Look!" Jae-yun suddenly shouted. "The new sample. It's glowing." Hansol rushed to her microscope. Under the lens, artificial blood cells pulsed with the same blue light as real human blood. They had finally done it. But would they be able to produce enough of it in time to stop the war that had just begun? Dr. Hansol stared at his computer screen in amazement. After months of research and countless failed attempts, the answer had been in front of them all along. The secret wasn't in the blood itself. It was in human DNA. "Jae-yun, look at this," he called to his colleague. "Remember that old virus everyone got 300 years ago? The one in our history books." Jae-yun moved to his screen, adjusting her glasses. "The Great Fever of 2725. What about it?" "It didn't just make people sick. It changed them." Hansol pulled up two DNA patterns. "Look, here's human DNA from before the Great Fever, and here's ours now." The virus wrote itself into our genetic code. The battle for Earth had paused temporarily. Admiral Hyunwoo's fleet had driven back the first wave of attackers, and Commander Sun Li's ground forces had prevented any more human captures. But everyone knew the enemy would return with more ships. In the lab's meeting room, Han Sol explained his discovery to Earth's leaders. Ambassador Taiwan sat at the head of the table, while Captain Du Hyun and Dr. May watched through a secure video link. The virus was actually an ancient organism from space, Han Sol explained. It arrived on Earth in a meteorite. When it infected humans, it changed our blood to use it as a power source. But instead of killing us, it made our blood stronger. That's why human blood can power our ships and heal any species, Dr. May said, her eyes wide with understanding. The virus created tiny power cells in your blood that can adapt to any life form. Exactly, Jia-Yun added. And now we can copy this process. We can make artificial blood that works just as well as real human blood. Ambassador Taiwan leaned forward. How long until we can produce enough to meet the galaxy's needs? We've built a production facility under the Pacific Ocean, Han Sol said. With help from our alien allies, we can make enough artificial blood to supply every planet that needs it within 1 year. Suddenly, all the screens in the room flashed red. Officer Min's face appeared, looking worried. Sorry to interrupt, but our deep space sensors just detected something big. Really big. The main screen showed a massive ship emerging from light speed near Jupiter. It was bigger than any ship they had seen before, almost as large as Earth's moon. It's the Harvester, Captain Du Hyun said quietly. The most powerful ship in the galaxy. They built it specifically to drain entire planets of resources. Commander Sun Mi's voice came through the speakers. All defense forces to battle stations. They're launching smaller ships, thousands of them. We need more time, Han Sol said, looking at the artificial blood production data. The first batch won't be ready for another week. Ambassador Taiwan stood up. Then we'll give you that time. He turned to Admiral Hyunwoo's image on the screen. Admiral, deploy all ships. Commander Sun Mi, activate all planetary defenses. We must protect the production facility at all costs. As alarms blared throughout every city on Earth, Han Sol and Jia-Yun raced back to their lab. They had to speed up the production process. The future of Earth, and perhaps the entire galaxy, depended on their success. Look, Jia-Yun said, pointing at their latest test results. If we adjust the temperature and add more energy, we might be able to speed up the process. Han Sol nodded, already making the changes. Above them, humanity prepared for its biggest battle yet. But in this quiet lab, 2 scientists worked on a solution that could end the fighting forever. The race between science and war had begun. The question was, which would finish first? The massive Harvester ship moved slowly toward Earth, launching waves of smaller attack vessels. Its dark surface absorbed light rather than reflecting it, making it look like a hole in space. Earth's defenders watched as thousands of enemy ships approached their home. Admiral Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Sole Guardian. All ships, battle formation Delta, he ordered. Remember your training. Protect the planet at all costs. The Earth Defense Fleet moved into position. 500 ships, all powered by freely donated human blood, formed a protective shield around the planet. Their hulls glowed with familiar blue light, pulsing like a heartbeat. Enemy ships entering range, Officer Kang reported from his station. They're charging weapons. Launch our new fighters, Hyunwoo commanded. From the larger Earth ships, small one-person fighters emerged. These special vessels were designed by Captain Do Hyun's engineers and powered by human blood. They could move faster than any other ships in space. Commander Sun Mi led the fighter squadron. All pilots, follow my lead, she said through the communication system. Target their engines first. The battle began. Enemy ships fired red energy beams, but the human vessels were too quick. Sun Mi's fighters darted between the larger ships, their weapons cutting through enemy shields like they weren't even there. On Earth, Dr. Han Sol and Jai Yun worked frantically in their underwater laboratory. The artificial blood production was running at maximum speed, but they needed more time. The first batch will be ready in 6 hours, Jai Yun said, checking the progress. But the enemy is already here. Han Sol looked at the battle footage on their screens. Then we need to give our defenders more power. He pressed a button on his communication panel. Admiral Hyunwoo, we're sending you something. In space, Hyunwoo watched as his ship's power levels suddenly doubled. The blue glow became brighter, stronger. What did you do? He asked Han Sol. We found a way to increase the energy output of the blood powering your ships, Han Sol explained. It won't last long, but it should help. The Earth ships surged forward with new power. Their weapons hit harder. Their shields grew stronger. The enemy fleet began to fall back. But then the Harvester made its move. The massive ship opened panels along its surface, revealing thousands of metal tubes. They began to glow with dark energy. Those are blood-draining devices, Captain Do Hyun warned through the communication system. If they hit the planet, they can drain every human in range. Not today, Commander Sunmai said firmly. She led her fighter squadron toward the tubes, firing precisely at each one. The battle grew more intense. Earth's ships destroyed many enemy vessels, but more kept coming. The Harvester slowly moved closer to Earth, its remaining tubes preparing to fire. Admiral Hyunwoo knew they needed to end this quickly. All ships, focus fire on the Harvester's command center, he ordered. Commander Sunmai, take your squad and protect the Seoul Guardian. We're going to get closer. The Admiral's ship moved toward the massive enemy vessel, taking heavy fire. Its shields flickered but held, powered by the enhanced human blood. Other Earth ships followed, forming a spear point aimed at the Harvester's heart. Now, Hyunwoo commanded. All ships fired at once. The combined energy of their weapons, powered by human blood, struck the Harvester's command center. For a moment, nothing happened. Then cracks appeared in the massive ship's surface, spreading like spider webs. The battle paused as everyone watched. Would it be enough to stop the galaxy's most powerful ship? The cracks in the Harvester's hull grew larger, spreading across its dark surface like lightning. Then, with a flash of light that lit up space brighter than Earth's sun, the massive ship's command center exploded. The force pushed the remaining pieces of the ship backward, away from Earth. In the silence that followed, Admiral Hyunwoo's voice came through all communication channels. Attention all enemy vessels. Your command ship is destroyed. Surrender now, or follow its fate. One by one, the enemy ships powered down their weapons. On Earth, people came out of their shelters to watch the screens showing their victory. But in the underwater laboratory, Dr. Han Sol and Jai Yun weren't celebrating yet. The first batch is ready, Jai Yun said, looking at the large tanks of artificial blood. The blue liquid inside glowed just like real human blood. We can start sending samples to prove it works. Ambassador Todd One called an emergency meeting at the United Earth Council building. Representatives from every planet involved in the battle attended, either in person or through secure video links. The room was tense as former enemies sat across from each other. We are here to find a peaceful solution, Taiwan began, his voice calm but firm. Earth has something the galaxy needs. We are willing to share it, but there must be rules. The leader of the defeated forces, a tall being with gray skin, stood up. Why should we trust you? The blood is too valuable to be controlled by one species. Because we don't need to use real human blood anymore, Han Sol said, entering the room with Jai Yun. They carried samples of the artificial blood. We can make as much as the galaxy needs. Dr. May examined the artificial blood with her instruments. Her eyes widened. It's perfect, she said. All the same properties as real human blood, but it can be produced in laboratories. Captain Do Hyun, who had helped Earth during the battle, spoke next. My people will help build production facilities on other worlds. Earth will share the technology, and in return, All attacks on humans must stop forever. The room grew quiet as everyone considered this offer. Commander Sunmei, still in her flight suit from the battle, stepped forward. "We proved today that humans will fight to protect our people," she said, "but we would rather help than fight. This artificial blood can save lives across the galaxy. All we ask is peace and fair trade in return." Admiral Hunwu added his voice. "Our ships, powered by freely given blood, defeated the most powerful vessel ever built. Remember that before you consider future attacks." The gray-skinned leader looked at the artificial blood sample again. "How do we know you will produce enough for everyone?" Ambassador Taiwan smiled. "We will create the Galactic Blood Bank. Every planet that signs our peace treaty gets a production facility and a fair share of the supply. Together, we can help every world that needs it." One by one, the representatives agreed. Even those who had fought against Earth saw that this was the best solution. They began working on a treaty that would protect both humans and the artificial blood trade. As the meeting continued, Dr. Hansol and Jai Yun stepped outside for a moment. Through the windows, they could see the ships in orbit, no longer fighting but working together to clean up the battle debris. "Do you think this will really work?" Jai Yun asked. Hansol watched as a group of alien engineers examined the plans for new blood production facilities. "I think we found something better than a weapon or a treasure," he said. "We found a way to bring the galaxy together." 1 year after the Great Space Battle, Earth had changed completely. The new Galactic Blood Institute stood tall in the heart of New Seoul, its blue-tinted windows glowing softly in the morning sun. Dr. Hansol walked through the main entrance, nodding to the mixed team of human and alien scientists who worked there. "Good morning, Director Hansol," the reception computer said as he passed. The title still felt strange to him, but leading the institute was important work. In his office, Jai Yun waited with the morning reports. She had become the head of research, managing teams on 20 different planets. "The new production facility on Alpha Centauri is working perfectly," she said, showing him the data. "They made their first successful batch of artificial blood yesterday." Hansol smiled. "That makes 50 facilities now. How are the healing statistics?" "Better than we hoped. The artificial blood has cured 98% of all tested diseases. The remaining 2% just need a slightly modified version, which our teams are working on." The view from his window showed how much their world had changed. Alien ships now moved peacefully through Earth's skies, following careful flight paths. The ships came to trade technology, knowledge, and culture in exchange for artificial blood and human scientific expertise. Commander Sunmei, now General Sunmei, landed her ship at the Institute's private dock. She led the new Galactic Peace Force, a combined fleet of human and alien ships that protected the blood trade routes. "The last blood smuggling ring has been shut down," she reported as she joined them. "Even the criminal syndicates can't compete with our production and distribution network now." Admiral Hanwu's voice came through the communication system. He was currently leading a diplomatic mission to distant galaxies. "Good news from the Outer Rim. 3 more civilizations want to join the Galactic Blood Bank. They're offering advanced terraforming technology in exchange." In the Institute's public gallery, Ambassador Taiwan guided a group of alien leaders through an exhibition about human history. The display showed how the ancient space virus had changed human blood, leading to this new age of cooperation. "Earth's greatest strength wasn't just our blood," Taiwan explained to the visitors. "It was our ability to turn a crisis into an opportunity for peace." Dr. May, who had become the head of alien relations at the Institute, added, "And your willingness to share your gift with the galaxy instead of keeping it for yourselves." In the research labs below, human and alien scientists worked together on new projects. They studied the original virus, looking for other helpful properties. They developed new medical treatments using the artificial blood. Some teams even worked on improving faster-than-light travel using blood-powered technology. Captain Du Hyun, now the Institute's head of technological development, tested a new ship design. The vessel used artificial blood power in ways they had never tried before, promising to make space travel safer and faster than ever. As the day ended, Han Sol stood with Jia-yun on the Institute's observation deck. They watched the sun set behind the spaceports where ships from across the galaxy came and went peacefully. "Remember when we first discovered the glowing blood cells?" Jia-yun asked. "Did you ever imagine it would lead to this?" Han Sol shook his head. "Not in my wildest dreams. We thought we had found a powerful resource, but what we really found was a way to unite the galaxy." Below them, the evening shift of scientists arrived to continue their work. The artificial blood production never stopped, providing hope and healing to countless worlds. Earth had become the heart of the galaxy, pumping life and progress through the stars. Human blood was still the most valuable substance in the universe, but now it wasn't because of its rarity or power, but because of what it had taught all species, that the greatest discoveries can bring people together instead of driving them apart.